right, everyone, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here, Tennessee Wildcast. I'm Doug Markham, Jason Harmon.
How's it going, Doug?
Todd over yonder. When are we going to turn the camera on, Todd? Everybody see Todd.
When we get some motorized faders, maybe. I don't know. I can't reach the camera right now.
We need to hire some more grippers and stuff like that.
There you go.
Yeah, anyway, this is our weekly podcast show talking about the agency, talking about folks who work with the agency. We got a special guest today, somebody who somewhere in between that, working for the agency and not working for the agency.
Yeah.
We'll get to it in a few
He's
minutes.
a great guy.
Yeah, you're going to learn a lot of cool information today. Anyway, Jason, before we get to the subject of our show, we're going to talk about volunteers today and give you an idea. If you ever wanted to work for TWRA with us and you don't want to get paid, we're going to tell you how you can do that.
We might cover your gas to and from, but
that's right. Yeah, you'll like it though. You'd have fun with us. Anyway, let's get started today. We're going to start on a sad note for us. But we're going to start on a sad note with memory, knowing that this person did great things for the sportsmen of Tennessee and just people in general. Anyway, we lost Shane Hall recently. Shane passed away. Shane did the moment of freedom for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and our guest can talk about that in a few minutes on here. Jim Stroud's our guest, by the way. We'll get to him here in a second. But Shane passed away recently after a fairly long battle with an illness, and we just hate it. He just was one of the most energetic guys I ever saw. He was wheelchair bound, had been for a long time, got in an accident many years ago, and turned that accident into something positive. And what he did was created a lot of places for other folks that had the kind of disabilities of wheelchair or mobility issues. He turned them into where he built access areas, blinds and other things so you go hunting or fishing across the state. And his legacy will be with us for a long, long time. But he was a great person, and we're going to miss Shane and everything he did for everyone.
He had a grand vision of providing opportunities for wheelchair-bound people and brought it to the agency and brought it to the commission and then got them stirred up and took it from there. And he was a great asset to the agency, and
and to the end. He was
him.
trying to get back and do work all the way to the end, and we'll get Jim to speak about him in a little bit. But Shane was probably as energetic and outgoing and as positive a human being as I ever met, and he could have been just the opposite in his lifetime, and he chose to go the other way.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, let's talk about a few other things. If you didn't see last week's show, you ought to watch it because it really affects you if you're a sportsman and you're buying licenses. We are changing the way licenses are sold in Tennessee, and it's going to be positive. We had Alicia Chasty on here last week and Mike May, and the show's still out there for you to watch, and they're talking about a new vendor we have in Tennessee starting on Halloween Day, and your licenses are going to look different. They're going to look like what you're seeing on the board. They're going to look like you see the old license and the new license. They're going to be a piece of paper, and I think you're going to like it a lot. The paper that you get to put in your pocket, and you can do everything that you need to get licensed up right at the house.
A lot easier to hang on to, really. I mean, because you can print it out if you lose one, print out multiple copies, fold it up in your wallet, and it's got all your licenses right there on it. And
just goes down in order. And if you want to add one, you can. You go buy another one. They'll run you out another piece of paper, or you can do it right at the house. You can do it at a licensed agent or house. And the other licenses, that's the old style license. There are still going to be some agents, they told us last week, that are selling that, they call it durable stock. And then there's something we're not going to talk about in great detail yet, but there is going to be a card, a collector's license that we can talk about a little bit now. It's been passed by the legislature. They had to run it through the legislature, but it's going to be a neat little card that's got some cool art on it that you can stick in your pocket.
A little collector's piece.
And it's going to be nice. We're going to do a big deal on that in the weeks ahead. And you also saw out there our app Jason had throwing up there now. Don't forget our phone app. There's also a lot of work going on it right now.
Roll out a new version of that real soon.
Well, you're going to like that too, I think. It's going to make life a lot easier. But even during the transition, you can continue to check in your deer, your harvest there right on that phone. And Michael told us last week 80% of people are now checking in online, either on their computer at their home or a tablet or that phone right there. So just about eliminated the need for me to go look in the mouth of dead deer anymore. Did you ever get to do any of that?
No, I stayed away from that.
Todd, no, y'all never got to have that fun. Anyway, well.
Yeah, I just stay behind the camera, shoot you doing that. Yeah,
thanks a lot. Those days are done. All right, and I want to remind everyone, Jason, that the turkey season, the fall turkey season, you got till this weekend. Before it comes to an end. And if you haven't gone yet, you can go out and bag one turkey in a county, if that county is open.
Right.
Right, with either shotgun or archery.
Yeah, shotgun now, so gives you guys that don't hunt archery a chance to run after some fall turkeys.
It does. It gets a chance to get outside, and that's either sex. We do that in the fall, but not in the spring. And you can get out there and have a good time for a few more days. Mm-hmm. Get that one bird, you can go to another county. You can do that, and if that county is open. And then through those up there, through these fishing shots up there, our guys out on the water, and you might see them in the next few weeks on your favorite reservoir running around with these hoop-looking nets. They'll pile them up on the front when they're done or before they put them out. And what they're looking for this time of year are crappie, and a crappie they're looking for this long. That's what they want to see, something that's about 2 or 3 inches long. It's how they go out and they estimate how well the crappie did with their last spawning period, how many fish survived all those months and got up to that size, and then they'll determine whether the crappie, what lakes need how much crappie when they're stocking. Okay, some lakes will have really good reproduction years, some will have really poor. They'll go into those areas where it was really poor and they'll supplement with crappie that are created in our hatcheries. And I think there's a shot of a crappie in there somewhere that's a black-nosed crappie. That's what we're stocking these days.
And speaking of fisheries, commission meeting coming up this week or this next week, and they'll be setting the fish regs.
It is, and you can go out on our website, look in the newsroom, and you can see what's been proposed, and then you and Todd will be there streaming it. I mean, you'll stream it a day after the commission.
Yeah, it'll
or
be
later
online.
That day.
You can watch it after the meeting. It'll be up. Hopefully within hours. It may take a day, depending on our connection.
And
stuff.
Tweet a little bit. We'll be tweeting during the meeting also.
We'll be tweeting what's going on and probably putting some stuff on Facebook as well. So.
I don't remember there being any great big changes. There is some talk on Kentucky Lake about changing some limits. I don't know if it'll happen, but the discussion is there on crappie about size and the number, the creel limit.
Right.
Don't know if it'll happen, but you probably do want to keep an eye on that and see what's going on. Other than that, it's not great big changes.
And just don't forget, let's see what we got. Still got the tag boards out there. Trying to get people to send some pictures in, and how to do that is just go on to your favorite social media site, post your photo, and hashtag it. TN Wildlife. If it's just general outdoor photos, y'all having fun outside, or if it's a deer hunting shot or a fishing shot or a turkey shot, something you've harvested or caught, use TN Trophy Room and put it right there on a trophy room, and everybody can see it.
Getting some neat photographs out there. Some deer that are quite incredible.
Yeah, I could show a quick picture of what's going on the tag boards. Let's pull it over here for people at home to see. There's the trophy room. Some nice deer killed this year already.
Yeah.
A lot of father and son hunts. That's neat to see that. And we'll be talking more about some of those kind of hunts coming up here pretty soon. So
yes, sir. And
with Mr. Jim Stroud.
Yeah, we are. And I want to remind everyone, past shows out there, Donald Hossey was on a few weeks ago talking about youth hunts and wounded soldier hunts and women hunts. All that stuff's coming up. We're getting on that time of year, and Jim's going to talk about that here in a minute, too. And we'll remind everyone, we also, our Facebook, that you ought to spend some time on our Facebook. There's a lot of great information, and now we've merged all our pages, and so you can see what's going on across Tennessee on one page. And it's amazing how much work is going on in the water and in the fields and the woods out there.
It's awesome to see the activity, too, coming into the Facebook, just having the one there and everybody communicating in one place. And
everybody's happy.
Yeah, everybody's
mostly
getting all kinds of views and shares and likes. And don't forget to like this show.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like and share this show. We'll put it out on Facebook, advertising this show. Like it, share it, and we will draw for winners for hats. Like Mr. Jim Stroud. Let me pull up Jim.
Yeah, let's
over
get
here. He's
Jim.
got a hat on. See there?
Yeah.
Brand new Wildcast hats and T-shirts. So you can choose which one you want, a hat or a shirt, and we'll throw in a sticker or two. How about that?
That sounds good. That'll be out there, and we like our little logos there. So we want people to know about it because we feel like this is where you'll learn a lot of what's going on. You don't have to say, y'all never tell us what's going on because we're always trying to tell you what's going on, and you can learn it right here. All right, let's talk to Jim.
Yeah.
Jim Stroud is one of everybody's favorite folks around this agency because he's given a good portion of his life to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, to all the youngsters and hunting in these youth hunts that we have, and to the women and to wounded soldiers that we were just talking about. Jim, you're just Mr. Volunteer.
Well, it's been a blast, Doug.
You've had a good time. I know you have, but you're so talented, Jim. Jim can build. He can do anything. He does. You have a lawn business when you're, or what would you call it?
It's landscaping
business, lawn care, and does wonderful work with that. So Jim does a lot of everything, and he's a good hunter. And why it's in my head right now, Jim, we worked with you 3 years ago. Jason and I did, and you helped us put together a really good field dressing video on deer. And that we're going to post that on the Facebook page or link.
We'll link that to Facebook. It's out on our YouTube channel right now, but we'll get that out there for folks to see. It's deer season right now, and people want to know how to do that.
Yeah,
well, it's actually a deer processing.
Deer processing, thank you. I said field, didn't I? Deer processing. Jim's going to show you from after the deer is taken, all the way down to putting it in bags.
Right.
So thank you, Jim. And what kind of deer season you having so far before we get into all this other stuff?
I hadn't been able to hunt yet, Doug.
Okay.
And I had a little operation. I couldn't go out and do no bow hunting yet, but we did go take some stands down and try to rearrange them. And I'm getting ready to. I may try to crossbow since I can't draw my bow, so I'm going to try.
Have
that.
you historically, other than this fall, been are you an archery hunter? Do you usually get out this time of year?
I'm an avid archery hunter. I've probably harvested 90 deer with a bow and arrow in my years.
Well, give us a good tip this time of year, Jim. You don't have to be going this year as much experience as you got.
Well,
what do they need to know about hunting in the fall?
Right now, get out and start looking for scrapes and rubs. The deer are actually scraping right now, and look for food sign of persimmons, acorns, where they're going back and forth bedding to the food, and get in between and find if you're looking for a buck, you don't get on the scrapes. And the bucks are starting to butt heads a little bit right now and getting the feeling of a little bit of the rut, but just a small, younger ones more in that field. But a little later on, like next month, you're talking rut starting. So I'd be looking for scrapes and look for the big ones, and the big rubs. That's where the big deer are.
Muzzleloader season will be here before you know it, and that's a good prime time for the rut.
That's prime rut time. When you get into muzzleloading. So everybody's getting excited right now.
Well, Jim, I know that you hunt deer for a variety of reasons. You're a big deer venison. You love cooking it. You love eating it. You hunt for the food a lot. But are you careful about hunting for the buck?
I'm actually not a rack hunter.
Okay.
I harvested 9 deer last year, and every one of them for food. And I like the smaller deer. People say don't kill the baby. I like the younger deer. They eat better. They're really good. And but like I said, I cooked a bunch of deer this weekend. I had 170 people at my house eating deer, and I've invited and introduced deer to a lot of people that never ate it before. And there's a lot of people that's had their heads turned because they got the deer meat it wasn't good because people didn't know how to cook it. And if you eat deer that's cooked right, you'll be wanting to eat it all the time.
I ate some of your deer a few years ago, Jim, at one of your events, and it was fantastic. It was really good, and I sometimes don't understand that. It's like we weren't cooking cattle out of from stores that were processed 200 years ago. This is what we were eating was deer, and you ought to give it a chance because it doesn't get much better. A deer, an elk, a turkey.
Exactly, and it just takes a little olive oil and seasoning and brown sugar and baking it and kind of gets in there and boils in that juices and it gets tender, and then it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Do you let your deer age over time? Like, do you hang them and let them age?
I never age a deer. I mean, I have, and I process most of my deer when I bring them right in and vacuum seal them, get them right in the freezer, and I have no different with the taste. And sometimes you can age an older deer and it'll get a little more tender. That's a good idea, but I normally don't. I try to get it put away as quick as I can. I don't want it to ruin or something happen.
So, Jim, if you're sitting in that tree stand and a 12-point buck, you pass it up, say that one's not what I'm looking for.
It depends on how big a 12-point buck. A 3.5-year-old deer, I probably won't. I mean, if you get a nice monster, and then that deer hadn't produced right to me right now, so I haven't killed one. I let a nice 3.5-year-old deer walk last year.
Oh, really? Yeah. Talk about the feeling when a big bruiser walks by like that.
Oh, everybody, gets excited. And, it used to really excite me in the younger days, especially bow hunting. I'd see them big ones up like land between the lakes, and they'd be out of reach,
Yeah.
But, and I've been over the scrapes, the monster scrapes, and see them. I've seen the big monster walk out and get to where I walked in, smell me, and turn around and walk right back the same way it goes. Yeah. And so, them deer are smart. Them big deer are smart. But in the middle of the rut, they go stupid. So if you want to kill a monster deer, that's the time to kill it.
Yeah. Well, what, about a month maybe away from that, give or take?
Right. I'd say about the middle of November is your best rut
She said
time.
muzzle loader is about hitting it right
Exactly.
in there.
A lot of people take off work during that time.
Yeah, well, they're working on their offices, you might as well, right? All right.
I love bow season though, because you're out there and you ain't hearing a lot of shooting, and you're still warm, and you ain't freezing to death, and everything's just beautiful. It's just the greatest time to be hunting, just out there in the woods during the archery season.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, it's a processing video Jason put together that shot Jim, and you really, if you've never processed a deer, go out and watch it, because Jim just does it step by step all the way to the end, all the way to the bag, if I recall, right? Get ready, put it in the freezer, and you cut them down into different.
And it's not hard to do, and you save yourself $75 to $100, doing it yourself.
Okay.
And you know where the meat's coming from and going to.
Yeah.
I didn't use nothing high tech when we did that. It was mostly just hand saws and knives, and unless we're grinding some, but that's only.
And then there's that important part about making sure the meat is clean. And
keeping all the white stuff out of it, and the fat, because deer fat is not good. And then if you want to grind some and don't like it real lean, you want to add a little fat, add some beef fat in there.
Okay. And as a person who's eaten many deer and cut many deer up, are you a backstrap person in the end? Is that the best thing, or is there something better on a deer in that backstrap?
Backstrap's hard to beat. You got them two little tenderloins in the middle underneath but they're good, but the backstrap's probably your best, because when you're looking at a backstrap, what that is, it's the eye of the T-bone, it's the eye of the ribeye, and it's just without the bone. You're ripping all that out, because when you slice up T-bone steaks, ribeye steaks, then you get down to the round steaks, and that's all the hump, the rump, and all that's your round steaks and stuff. But when you're talking about a backstrap, you're talking about the eye, the T-bone, and then in the ribeye, the prime part of the meat.
Starting to hurt me just a little bit right
I'm
now.
getting hungry. We need some eggs and some
tenderloin this morning. All right, Jim, let's talk about volunteerism. You have done many things for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, helped us to put on hunts across the state and other things, not just hunting events. You've helped us at the National Wild Turkey Federation with setting up our booths, and it goes on and on and on. But how did you get involved with being a volunteer in Tennessee? How long have you been a volunteer with our agency?
Probably 32 or 3 years.
How did you get started?
I actually started as a hunter education instructor, which I still am. I'm actually got a class going on this week with a couple of guys, Gary Kite and Caleb Stratton, and Mike Murdoch. And but that's how I got started. Actually, I used to shoot tournament archery, and back in the 80s, I'm a big archery shooter, and a guy named Larry Harris, which was wildlife officer in Davidson County at the time, he said, "I need you to come help my hunter ed teach archery." And so I said, "Okay, I'll do that," and that's how it all kind of got started.
I've heard of Larry Harris. I never met him. He was gone right before I got here, but he's a great officer, and he pulled you into it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you started that way. Tell us a little bit about hunter education before we get into other stuff. If somebody wants to become a hunter education, because that is a way that we get a lot of volunteers. It's one of the programs where they come in the most. How do they do that?
Well, to become an instructor, first you want to go to class and talk to the instructor there, and he'll help you get set up. And then you go meet with Randy Husky and
the agency. Randy Husky is our statewide
fill out the paper
hunter
and
ed guy.
pass all the stuff that you need to, you inspect, what you sent in to get you checked out and all that. And then they'll send you to a class where you can be taught to be a certified
Is that
instructor.
Is that a Henry Horton, or is it a various different
Well, they've
places?
done it in several places. I think in Bell Buckle at one time, and they may have done it Henry Horton. I don't know about that one.
They'll tell you all that.
But they will. They'll get that figured out for you. But then you help teach class and you get certified. And we really need instructors, because we're all getting old. We're gonna need somebody to replace us, and we're getting some younger bunch in there and get them going. But you got all these online deal now, and then you have the field days, and it's getting to be a little bit more easier to get the hunter education class done, where you don't have to go to a class 5 days a week, 3 hours a night. But I like that hands-on stuff, because I think they learn better and get a better way.
We concur with that. We agree. We think if you're going to go, send it to where you can talk to people like Jim, who knows what they're talking about, and And if your kids have a question, they can sit there and ask you that question,
Right,
and get it going there.
And they remember you, and you leave an impression. Because I taught a class one time out at the gun club, and I went turkey hunting that next spring, and I pull up there, and there's a car sitting there, and I get out, and I said, well, somebody's already here. And the guy comes and said, how you doing? I said, fine. I said, you hunting here? He said, yeah, you was my hunter education instructor. I said, well, let's go turkey hunting. He said, I'd love to go turkey hunting with you. So we hunted together that day. There's stuff like that, and he said, man, I really enjoyed your class, and I'd like to turkey hunt with you. So I said, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Still enjoy it after all these years, Jim, just teaching. Okay, but you also do a lot of stuff with these youth hunts we have and warrior hunts and so forth and so on. Are we always looking for volunteers there to help with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we can use all we can get most of the time. Sometimes we may have more volunteers than we have hunters on some things, but we always encourage people to help out. And like I said, we're all getting kind of up there. And, we're going to have to slow down one of these days.
We saw there's a video out on our Facebook this week that Jason put together, went down, and it's at Buffalo Ridge, and you guys are putting up tree stands.
Right.
Is that typical of the kind of stuff that you do as a volunteer, helping with the tree stands prior to the hunts? A lot of stuff going on before the kids ever get there.
We got like 45 stands down there, and we have to go check them, make sure there's no bees there, the straps are good, everything's secure, and we don't want nobody to get in there and go in a stand that hadn't been checked out. So we got to go and check every one of them, and then we got shooting houses like you was talking about. Shane inspired us to build the handicapped shooting house, especially for the soldiers and stuff.
Right.
And they get full of red wasp, and it's pretty fun.
Was
you with us when we got in that little ordeal with all them red wasps?
No, I missed that.
You just left, I guess, Jason. But
that would have been some good video, Jason.
And Freddie comes up, I didn't check that, and I said, there's 500 wasps in there. You didn't do a very good job.
Freddie Couch. All right, while you mentioned Shane, tell us what your thoughts on Shane Hall.
Oh, Shane was a great guy. I didn't know Shane real well, but I got the pleasure of working with him at a few times at some events of the Wounded Warrior events and stuff, and just a great guy, and we're really going to miss him. And like I said, he inspired a lot of this handicap stuff we got going on, and just, it's hard to beat people like that.
It is. He's something else. Moment of Freedom, if you haven't been on our website looking for it, you scroll down and you'll see it under.
Or momentoffreedom.org will get you there too.
Right there. So if you want to look for a place to hunt across the state and you have some mobility issues, that's what you can do. So, all right, Jim. What other projects have you worked on through the years? Well, no, let me back up on that. These projects that you're working with the kids, pretty satisfying, and with the wounded soldiers and with the women. Is there a difference in the way you feel about each one of them?
Well, they're all about the same. I enjoy taking anybody and getting them out there and putting them in a stand, and then go back and help them retrieve a deer or try to, put them in the right spot or whatever. But the kids really we have a great time then, because the hunt we do has to be their first deer. They never have killed a deer.
There's one coming up soon. It's never killed a deer.
Next weekend. It's the one we do at Buffalo Ridge, and you never could have harvested deer before. So and awesome. I know I was standing there a couple of years ago or so, and the deer we had hanging, and I'm watching them kids in there, and these does hanging up, and they're walking around like it's a 15 or 20 point buck or whatever. They're talking. Got their hands, I got this and that. It is so fun to watch these kids. I enjoy that more than anything, is getting them out there. And then, we do the women's hunts, and they kill their first deer, and they get so excited. It's just
emotional too. Some of those
way emotional
videos I've shot out, out there, some of those Becoming Outdoors woman hunts, and the girls, the ladies are just so emotional that they've killed a deer, and it's just the greatest thing in the world, and they're crying over the deer, which is awesome. I mean, it's that they're that excited about it,
Jim, we try really hard to get women involved in the outdoors. We have the Beyond Outdoor Women, and we have all kinds of stuff for women that you can go learn about.
Right.
But have you found through the years that once the ladies are given an opportunity, that they're just as passionate as any man ever is about it?
They're worse. They all start buying more stuff and getting more involved than most men do. And they're more picky about, like, that gun's shooting a little bit too far to the right, or stuff like that. But what really gets me is you get the woman to come and start hunting, you get the whole family.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Because if the dad just goes hunting, mom and kid may never go. But you take the mom, you're all going hunting.
Have you found any of the men are liking that in the cases where they might have a husband or a boyfriend or whatever, fiance? Are you finding that the men like it?
Well, I think they get a little jealous because they don't get to go, and especially when Mama kills a big old buck that in this special place, and he can't hunt there, or stuff like that. And
that's one thing. These kids and women and these soldiers get an amazing opportunity to harvest a nice deer. There's a lot of nice deer on that property. It's been well managed.
The farm we do the special hunts on, and we've killed as many as 130 deer off at 2,000 acres, and that's unreal.
Off of Buffalo Ridge.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it may be too late to get involved in this youth hunt this time, but it will come around again.
Right.
It will be back here, as Jim knows, before you know it. Jim will be back down there working on that thing. So get your kids involved next year, maybe, if you can.
Right. It's a great hunt to be on, and food's good, and atmosphere is good. It's all good.
We're on that time of year, Jim, where there are a lot of youth hunts, not just Buffalo Ridge. Cheatham Wildlife Management Area has been doing one for decades, and then there's others across the state, and more cropping up all the time. You got to keep an eye on our websites. But these things keep on coming up, and a lot of the officers help initiate them in the fields, but it's the volunteers. I don't think any of them could do it without the volunteers.
Right. We got it. We need mentors. We have a lot of kids that don't have a mentor, so you come and sign up and get checked out and be a mentor. I mean, we'd love to have you out there, taking some kid out.
Yeah, because with the youth hunt, the kid has to have a mentor.
Yeah, you have to have a mentor.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. And so, we used to do Cheatham before we got Buffalo Ridge. And, you're talking 20,000 plus acres, and there's we can get a lot of hunters out there.
Yeah.
And we need a lot of mentors.
Okay. All right. And if you're hearing some stuff, it's a little construction going on behind us in this building. So anyway, all right, Jim. And what about the soldiers? Are the soldiers that we work with or that you've gotten to work with on these youth hunts, are all of them wounded in some way? Are they have mobility issues? Are there other issues that they are dealing with, but they can go hunting?
A little bit of everything. Most of them have been wounded, and we have several that can't hardly walk, and and we work with them and get them in the right places. But great bunch of guys. I mean, that's my favorite hunt of the year. Is getting out with these guys. And
are most of them former hunters, or are they folks that are looking to start hunting because they've never done it before? A combination.
I took a fellow out. He wanted one of us to go with him, so I stayed with him. It was a nice storm that hit us, and it was a pretty rough morning. The first time he ever deer hunted. He was from Chicago, and he was a Mexican type of
Hispanic.
Hispanic, yeah. I was trying to get that out.
That's okay.
But anyway, and he never hunted before, and his name was Juan. He said, "Just call me John." And I said, "Okay, John, we're going." We got in the stand the first morning. It was ice everywhere. It wasn't very good. He froze, but we'll do better this afternoon. We'll go down to the bottom where it's a little warmer. And so we were sitting up there right at prime time. I said, "Look there, John, there's one right in front of us coming down the road," and he couldn't find it. And I said, "Right there, John, by that tree." He finally got up there on it, and I said, "Shoot him." And before I could say shoot him, he done shot him. And it was like you gave him $1 million. He killed his first deer.
That's awesome.
And we had a great time doing it. And it was fun.
Do y'all volunteer to help them? As good as you are with your processing, do y'all help them a little bit? Do you teach them how to dress a deer and then maybe even process them too?
We'll let them do it themselves if they want to, or we'll show them how, or whatever it takes, and then we'll track them, whatever we need to do, and then we'll bring them in, and then we take them and get them processed. And we'll take them back to like Fort Campbell in boxes and have it all ready for them.
All right, and sometimes cook deer for them?
We cook deer for them sometimes at camp when we cook them. We have a pretty good mess hall at our camp.
I bet you do.
Most of us don't look like we missed 2 or 3 meals. But we have great food, and we do a lot of effort at keeping everybody fed good and warm. Have nice campers for them to stay warm in. And
all right, Jim.
You can watch one of the previous hunts we did out at the Wounded Warrior hunts or Wounded Soldier hunts or whatever you want to call it. But
remind them how to get to Jim's processing tape.
Yeah, video. On YouTube. You can watch the Wounded Soldier hunt, the BOW hunts, the youth hunts. You can watch Jim's video on how to process a deer right there on YouTube. It's real easy, and
we'll put it on Facebook. We'll put a link out there on our Facebook page so that you can do it. Jim, you're great, and glad you're doing good.
Well, I think y'all doing a good job too.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it, Jim.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Well, watch this show.
Yep.
And on Facebook, catch it on Facebook. We're going to post it out there and share it. Share it, like it, whatever, and you'll have a chance to win a hat,
Somebody's
a shirt,
doing some hats.
and we'll throw in some stickers as well. How's that?
And Jim gets hat because he was on the show.
Hey, it's a great hat, guys. I like it.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm a hat
All
man.
right, thanks to Jason, Todd, Jim. Thank you. All our shows are still out there. This is 34, something like that. A lot of great shows. Go out and watch them.